Right. Get a little, hold on a second here. Let me get my legs inside the park bench. Welcome to a forest, little bitty forest outside of Isafjordur. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, so I'll try to put the pronunciation in the show notes so that y'all can go see it. So in here, I'm going to take for an office hours an open question and answer about non-SQL Server stuff, non-technical things. There is, of course, a waterfall coming down through here. I'm next to a bubbling stream out in the forest. So the audio won't be as perfect, but look, this is just professional development stuff, and hopefully we'll talk a little bit about relaxation and getting away from work too as well. So let's see. Oh, the first question is from Dave. Dave says, I'm more interested in your travels and a nice video tour. Maybe you could do a special session. So the thing with that is that I would have to bring around a bunch of camera gear and audio gear if I was going to do a good job. It's the same thing that stops me from buying a drone. I don't own a drone, although I'm a technical geek. I would like to think that I would like one. I'm kind of vaguely sort of into photography, but not really. The problem with a drone is that if you travel with a drone, your trip becomes all about the drone. It becomes all about getting it charged, using it, getting it out at the right spots, flying over things, looking for the right camera angle, planning where the drone is going to fly through, thinking about what the output looks like, checking the output afterwards. And you're not in the moment. You're not mindful of what you're really around. So I try not to do drones, I try not to do videos, I try not to do photography that much even. Because I'd really rather be in the moment. Now here I am doing a YouTube stream in office hours when I'm on vacation, so doesn't that kind of violate the point? Well, the thing is, before Erica wakes up in the morning, I like to do whatever I can to do work stuff, give back to the community, whatever. And so this is a quick, easy way for me to bring just a little bit of camera gear and then stop when I'm out and around in the mornings and just go through stuff for like half an hour. That's why the quality of the audio isn't as good on streams like these, because I don't go to professional levels when I'm just trying to do things like this to give back. So that's why I wouldn't go through and do a photography type session or a video tour. If you want to see the places that I go, follow me on Instagram. I'm Brent Ozar on Instagram. And I post videos all the time. Like this morning, just now, I was gonna do, there's a great, huge waterfall near here, and I walked up to it, but I can't do a video from there because you won't be able to hear me because the waterfall is so deafening. But I put that up on my Instagram with a little video of like, here's why I can't do a stream from this place. Next up, let's see here. Sam says, what music is grabbing you lately? What's the soundtrack to Iceland looking like these days? Grimes. I still really like Grimes, and she had a soundtrack for a video game that came out. It's a really great mix, dance mix kind of thing. The Wallflowers just put out a new CD. Just started listening to that. And perennially, Jimmy Buffett. So I listen to a lot of Jimmy Buffett when I'm out on vacations because it kind of reminds me of the goal of retirement, chilling out, not working too hard. Whereas the things that I listen to when I'm coding or working on sessions tend to be really high energy dance music. And if I do that when I'm out vacationing and traveling, I just get all, antsy. So yeah, Grimes, Jimmy Buffett, the Wallflowers, Ladytron, older Ladytron stuff. What else is out here? DJs from Mars, I was just listening to a minute ago. Jed Whedon and the Willing, and Mary J. Blige's rendition of One, the U2 song. U2 had the song One. It's a slow, sweet song, kind of a love song, but also a breakup song. Mary J. Blige had a version of it, duetting with Bono, and it's amazing. It's unbelievable. It's so good. She just really brings it. All right, next up, let's see here. We have, let's see here. Let's see. Where's the next one? Hi Brent, long time. So this is Dave. It could be the same Dave, it could be a different Dave. Hi Brent, long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm a DBA. I just changed jobs working in a very small shop. They've never had a DBA before. Developers rule the place and I'm not getting very far. They have more access than me. When is enough enough? So when you're a database administrator, you have, and this is really true of any time you're brought in to influence, you have two ways that you can fix things. You can either use positive motivation or positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement means you reward someone for doing well. Negative reinforcement means you hit someone for doing badly. And of course it's not hitting, it's, you know, vocal, whatever. So when you're brought in, especially when you first get the title of database administrator, it's very tempting to use negative reinforcement to think that you're going to smack people around and they're going to do what I say. I'm a database administrator. You will respect my authority. When in real life, you got to stop and ask yourself and ask the managers, okay, what was it that you need me to do? What did you hire me for? And sometimes you're there to make the developers' jobs easier. Sometimes you're there to make take away the parts of the job that they don't want to do, backups, configuration management, security, whatever. So you got to go to management and say, all right, you know, what's important to you? What does success look like 3 months from now, 6 months from now? What will I have done that you will be proud of? Or that what will be the reason why you give me a raise? And then let's say, just to say, that management says we need to lock down security in production. Well, that's something that goes against what the developers want. Now you know what you have to do. The developers are actually the barrier to your success. They're not the success. You can't focus on making them happy if that's what management's goal is. You can't focus on making them happy. You will piss them off. You know, there are going to be things that you have to do, and you got to get management's buy-in and say, well, all right, here's the deal. I can't do it because I don't have the permissions necessary, and here's what's stopping me. But what's probably going to happen is that they're going to be like, well, you know, the developers aren't doing a very good job of managing the database or whatever it is that they want. We want you to help take those duties off their plates. And that's when you go to the developers and say, all right, what can I do to make your job easier? And you want to win them over with positive reinforcement instead. But no matter where you go, it's never going to be different. Like, database administrators are always looked at as the barrier to success rather than the key to success. All right, let's see what's next. I screwed up and I hit the wrong link inside my little control panel here, so I think I wasn't getting things. Oh, there we go, Ben. So next up is Ben. Ben says, hello Brent, I like how you tell stories. Thank you, I appreciate it. The way that you stage an idea before you go on to the next topic and how you simplify complex ideas. How did you develop this skill? So I got my start in the hotel and restaurant business. My parents always had like some kind of connection to hospitality businesses. And I dropped out of college and went back to work in hotels when I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And when you work in hotels, it's all about training your replacement. Nobody wants to spend the rest of their life working as a front desk clerk. Nobody wants to spend the rest of their life working as a night auditor. People usually have aspirations that they want to do something else. Or even if they do want to stay in that job, they want to move on to a bigger and better property and they want more money. So you're constantly in this churn of how do you train people and know that they're going to leave. You're going to train them and they're going to get better and they're going to go on to do something else. So being at peace with that and going, how can I quickly train people and get them equipped for their next step in their journey? Well, there's a whole profession that does that for a living, teachers. And there are books about teaching, there are college degrees about teaching. You know, how to teach people is a pretty well-established field. And there's a gold mine of resources out there. If I had to distill it down to one thing, I think of education as like taking a trip together. If you and I are going to go to my favorite bar somewhere, you don't know where that bar is. You don't know why we're going to that bar. You don't know the directions between where you are and where that bar is. So I got to figure out how to meet you where you are. I have to explain what that bar has that you want, why you would want to go there. Some of you are going, well, they have booze. That's all I needed to hear. But some of you want to hear, like, why is that bar different than other bars? What is going to be special about that? Why would I waste my time getting there? Okay, once I'm sold on it, what do I need to know in order to get there? And I got to teach you the bare minimum in order to accomplish the objective. Like, what do I need to do to get you to that bar so that then you can focus on the next phase of your journey? There are always going to be more things that you want to go learn. There are always more things that I want to go learn. But it just comes down to how can I distill all of that as short and sweet as possible, just like a trip. How when you're thinking about deciding where to go, you want to see pictures of the end point, you want to know what it's like there, and then you want to have a rough idea what it's going to take for you to get there. Let's see here. Next up, let me get rid of a few of these. There we go. Got that. Let me see here. Come down a little further. Lots of technical ones. Richard asks, what is the ETA on your SQL Server DBA course? So I talked about this in a stream a while back. I gave up on database administration work, like production DBA work. I never again want to deal with patching, backups, configuring always-on availability groups, configuring Windows. I am done with that. I never want to touch that again. I think that that's the lowest value work in the database stack. It's much more high value to focus on saving people money or making apps go faster once they've already got the server up and running. But I gave up on production DBA work, so I put all of that, the stuff that I had, up for free on YouTube. I don't even sell it anymore. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's a whole junior DBA course. It's like called the Fundamentals of Database Administration. And then a senior DBA course. All that's just free out on YouTube. I don't update it anymore. I don't even answer questions on it. I'm like, there you go, it's free, go enjoy. Because every time I think about configuring SQL Server, high availability, disaster recovery, Windows, all that kind of thing, I want to poke myself in the eye with a fork. It's terrible, it's not any fun, it breaks all the time, and it's a hamster wheel that never stops turning. With every version of Windows and every version of SQL Server and Linux and Kubernetes, these things change continually, and if that's not fulfilling as a teacher when the ground keeps moving underneath your students. So we'll take the teaching analogy that I used a little bit ago when I said, tell you what my favorite bar is. Well, imagine that my favorite bar changes every year, and the reason why you want to go there changes every year. Oh, and by the way, there's active gunfire all around the bar, and I got to figure out how to route you from one place to another. And by the way, that the directions to it change 24 hours a day, and people always have questions about how to get to the bar. I'll be damned, I'm going to be at the bar. If you want to figure out how to get there, you go learn that from somebody else. Interesting way of putting it. Next one, SQL Padawan asks, hey Brent, I would like to start helping people with bad performance problems, hopefully by exchanging money, like contracting, consulting, etc. I'm learning with your mastering courses. How can I deal with impostor syndrome, trying to help while learning the subject and not being an expert? You don't have to be the expert. You just have to know more than the people that you're helping. So, for example, all throughout my career, whenever I've had to solve problems, I don't feel like I've ever been an expert. Before I became a consultant, being a database administrator, I never felt like I was an expert in anything. But I'll figure it out. You put it in front of me and I will go figure it out. I will crack that nut. That's kind of what the companies are paying you for, is to crack the nut. Sometimes people are hiring you for things you already know how to do. Sometimes people are hiring you based on your track record of figuring things out on the fly. Just remember why people are hiring you, if they're hiring you to figure out a problem. Plus, the other thing is that I look at, now that I'm a consultant and I feel like I'm kind of an expert on SQL Server performance issues, I'm still an imposter when it comes time to opening up somebody's stored procedures or their application. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what this thing is doing. I got to talk them through it. And there's always a mystery there. The other thing to think about is at the end of the day, are you bringing value to them? Did you help them cross the finish line? That's what they paid you for. They didn't pay you to be the best expert. They paid you to help get them across the finish line. And the imposter syndrome stuff never goes away. Never. I still totally feel like an imposter. Charles says, it's because I don't know what I'm doing. Charles says, when will you offer another remote SSIS training class by Andy Leonard, either live or instant replay? I stopped doing guest instructor courses, so I made a decision in my own personal life that I wanted to be the only person delivering classes, because that made it easier to deal with the trading money back and forth aspect, so that you could buy a live class season pass from me and you'd attend all of the live classes. You didn't have to worry about who they were taught by. Same thing with the recorded classes. If you buy a recorded class season pass, it gives you access to everything on BrentOzar.com. So instead, what I would do is, if you want a class taught by Andy Leonard, go to his website. He teaches classes. He sells classes. If you search for Andy Leonard SSIS, his website is like entdna.com. He sells training classes, and they're available for sale, so you can go buy them directly from him. I've taken that approach with everybody who used to do remote training for me. I'm like, here, let me just show you what it takes to sell classes yourself. Now go, so you can sell them directly to the public. You don't need me as an intermediary. Let's see here. And then last up, the last one we'll take, I should look and see too if there's, where's the most recent ones? Okay, yeah, so the last one we'll take is Martin. Martin's, and this is a little bit technical, but do you see many people using the new deployment options? SQL Server on Linux, SQL Server in containers, SQL Server on ARM, or big data clusters? No. Okay, all right, you want a bigger answer than that. No. Because as I often talk about, I want to give you the most, when I'm working with a client, I want to give you the most likely method of success. I want to give you the method that is the most likely to succeed, given the team that you have, the experience that they have, and the resources that are available to them. Microsoft support, books, training classes, whatever. If you go use the newest deployment options, you're making the likelihood of success lower, not higher. It ain't easier to succeed on Kubernetes. It ain't easier to succeed on Linux. It's harder to succeed when your team doesn't have deep expertise in those areas. So the only ways that I would recommend those is if you have a team that is already already has deep expertise on Linux or Kubernetes or or whatever the other one was. Because otherwise you're having to learn too many things all at the same time. All right, so there's that. The sun is rising. It is 7:11 in the morning here in Ísafjörður. Ísafjörður? Did I say that? I did say that at the beginning of the video. It's not Ísafjörður, it's Siglafjörður. Ísafjörður's over in the West Fjords. I was looking at, long story, I was looking at Gordon Ramsay had an episode in Iceland here recently, so I was looking at something in Ísafjörður, which made me think of it. But yeah, 7 a.m. I am going off to go get me some breakfast and then go wander around. I say wander, we kind of have a rough idea of where we want to go today. And I will see y'all in another webcast. Adios.